I just want to welcome everybody because this is Woman Empowered, and I am the host, ALove, Angela Lewis, and I'm super excited about being here because I have a what they call a mover and a shaker on the line today. You know, somebody who is out here being an impact to the community and to the group of women, and she's out here being an influencer. And so I'm super excited to have Miss Alethia Tucker here because she is getting ready to talk to us about the journey. And if you guys saw the advertisement, hey, she's equipping people, she's empowering people, she's encouraging people. And so guys, you all know that when we do all of those things, it just makes you so much better. It elevates you to the next level. And like I say, when you elevate, it gives you a position to dominate. So of course, God called us to have dominion. So definitely we want to be in that position, right? Yes. So I want to welcome to this platform, Alethia. And Alethia is a author. She's a coach. She's the founder of Jolease Enterprises. But me just saying that is so minimal in comparison to all of the things that she does, all of the impact that she's making. So Alethia, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is indeed a pleasure, and I'm honored to be here. But you really did kind of hit it all on the head. I've been in human resources actually for 15 plus years. So I also support a small business, a small female-owned business with human resources support. And then, so that was very easy for me to come on over and start my business a couple of years ago, Jolease Enterprises. I was fortunate to be able to come and do what I've been doing for a long time. I was able to come over and help to impact women, help women in various areas for career coaching, and just in providing them with support. And as you say, giving them the tools that they need to be empowered, to do the things that they need to, you know, reach greater and to be greater. So that basically covers it. In addition, along with my mother, I work with jewelry, and that is something really that I started doing as a pastime, and something I did really to bond with her so that we could have something that we would share together as well. So yeah, a lot of irons in the fire, but my main focus is definitely in empowering people to be greater and to be the absolute best that they can be. Achieve dreams. Yes.
I love it. For you know, what we do, you know, for Woman Empowered, we always say, you know, empowered women empower women. So it's really great that, you know, it's women out in the community who are out here, you know, just touching one another and really trying to, you know, make sure that we all come up together, and we can do so much more when we are unified. So I love that you are actually, you know, putting things together. And I really wanted to kick it off by talking about this amazing virtual conference that you have coming up. It is Journey Share. And what's the tagline to it?
It's Journey Share, the virtual experience, mind, body, and soul.
Oh, can y'all hear that? Mind, body, and soul. Absolutely. So please share with the audience what that is all about.
Sure. So our focus is the total woman. You know, some years ago, I started what I call Journey Shares, which were really just small groups of women who got together and did just what the title said, shared their journey. You know, one person's journey can help to lead another person to victory. You never know who your story may impact, you know, what ears it may fall upon that will actually make someone better. And the goal was to do a live, you know, Journey Share conference this year. However, COVID took place, or the pandemic happened and totally turned things around. Right. And so we've gone virtual. And what we're trying to do with this is to still give it a little bit of a human touch in there. Although it's virtual, we're trying to communicate with our attendees from, the moment they register to the day of the conference. And so it's a day where they're going to be fed and empowered by speakers and inspired by, their stories and their testimonies. And they're going to be women who look like you and me, and they're going to, resonate with people who tune in and who watch the conference. They're going to be able to be fed by people who have done ministry, people who are life coaches, people who, had a dream and started a blog as a young mother, and that just gave root to so many other things. People who have come through major difficulties and gone, and persevered through incredible circumstances to make major impacts in their family, in their community, in their church. Like I said, these people have impacted so many, and they're going to show us how we can be more impactful and how we can really take whatever we're doing to the next level. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Excited.
I love the fact that you say women just sharing, their journey, because we're all on a journey and we all have a story. And, for some stories, people can relate, whether it's whatever it is, we can kind of pick something, but then other people, we can just relate to them a little bit more because it sounds like they're going the same pathway that you've done. So I think that it's simply amazing that you have put this together. And what is the dates of it, if you can share that information?
Sure. The date is August 1st, and it will take place from 10 to about 3. We're trying to make sure, we realize it is virtual and it gets a little difficult sometimes for everyone to just kind of stay in place, but we promise to keep everybody engaged. We've got activities. This is surely nothing that you're just going to sit and watch. We definitely want to get you involved.
That is so good. And I love the fact that it's so high touch. I mean, like you said, from the time they register until the time the actual event takes place, and then throughout it, and I think that is one of the things that separates people when you're in the virtual space. When we're out here in these virtual streets, we've got to be able to make a difference from what the traditional, Zoom recordings and things are about. The content is going to be great, but just taking it to that little extra is what's going to make it separate and stand out from everything else. So I'm super excited. August the 1st, everyone make sure, and if you would, Alethia, put it in the chat too, so that they will be able to get that information on how to register, because Miss Pat is here and she knows we did something like that the end of May, and we had a blast. It was awesome. Everyone got empowered. We actually did it from 12 noon to 12 midnight. So trust and believe, that was a long time. But Miss Pat hung on in there with me for several hours, so I appreciate it. But I tell you, all
had a full day.
We had a full day, yes. So I know it was, Ms. Patsy, it was amazing. Thank you so much. And I know that this one is going to be equally as amazing because of all the things that you do. But I want to, when I was, of course, when we were talking and, you shared about how you got into becoming an author. And so from there, I looked into, some information, and that's really how you transitioned into Jolease Enterprises. So I want you to share that story because I thought it was so amazing. And I know it's going to really impact ladies as they hear it.
Thank you. So I started, it's funny, some years back, as I was approaching my 50th birthday, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do to commemorate this milestone, 50 years, that's one of your milestones.
Right.
And I went through just a series of things that I wanted to do, and I couldn't seem to find exactly what was going to make the impact that I wanted it to make. I said, well, maybe I'll arrive in a luxurious car. And, it got to the point where I was really stressing over what should I do for my 50th birthday. I had just taken it to a level where it was causing me a lot of stress and strain. And in prayer one day, the Lord just kind of whispered to me, you made it to 50. And that really is story enough. And
Mm.
I thought back over my life, and I thought back over the things that have happened and all of the things that, the Lord has rescued me from and brought me through, and all of the blessings that I've had in my life. And I said, we're just going to say I'm 50, I'm here, and this is great. So I did have a party, and I did a bookmark to commemorate, like I said, to have a little takeaway for people who came to the party. And what I wrote down were 50 things that I learned on my way to 50. And they were
How
just
cute
little
is that?
lessons.
That's cute.
They were just little lessons, there were things in there like always keep a black outfit handy because black hides a multitude of sin. You can always put that black
Absolutely.
dress on.
Yes.
It talks about the wisdom of parents. It talks about, just my experiences going through life. So I put that on a bookmark. And over the next few months, I had so many people to say, I really would wish that you would expound on your bookmark. I think it could be a book. And thus the idea was born to go ahead and turn that bookmark into a book. And so the name of the book is 50 Things I've Learned on My Way to 50, Sharing My Journey. And the goal, like I said, was or is to, share my journey so that I can help someone else. The lessons that I've learned, maybe I can help someone and stop them from having to go through some of the things that I went through on my journey. I don't look negatively on any of it because my journey is what made me who I am. And that's something that I stress in the book also. But that's how the book was born. And that's how so many things that Jolease does was born. The journey shares came out of that. My experiences in HR is what led me to go on and become a coach and start helping others. And then the biggest catalyst with me finally completing the book was the last year that the year right before the book was published, my father became ill and with a rare form of stomach cancer. Esophageal cancer. And really his health declined rapidly. And it was during that time that I was able to spend even more time with him than I had done, in years past. I'm Big Daddy's girl. And my father was all about service. Everything he did was in serving others. That was his life from day one. And that book was really my push towards service. And really, I dedicated to him. And it really kind of changed my direction in how I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So I just want to, like I said, be of service, be able to help someone by something that I know.
That's beautiful. And I was really intrigued because, it's such the title in and of itself is cute. 50 things I've learned on my way to 50, and we can all think, it's great to inspire people to think about what have you learned in your journey, in this journey called life. What are some of the things that you've picked up? And it makes you kind of be introspective because there are some things that you learn that can be passed on, not only to your children, but, or to your grandchildren, but just to, people in general. And sometimes it's things that you hear about the black dress all the time.
Yes.
But definitely that is something that, you take with you because in all actuality, a black dress will take you anywhere, to any occasion. Any occasion. And so when you have it, for women, we know, hey, get you a good, nice black dress and hey, you are ready to show up wherever, from an interview to a cocktail party, you are good to go. So, that's just a great thing. But for the people who are listening, I want you guys to Think about it. Think about some of the things that you've learned, some of the things that, you can pass down to somebody else, and I think that's really important on your journey to understand, to kind of look back and be reflective of what are some things that have really stood out to you? What are some things that you can really pass along and share? Because that's what it's all about when we are being of service. And somebody has sent me a video of Muhammad Ali today. And, so one of his quotes is, service is our rent here on earth,
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I mean, service, what you do for others, God is going to turn around and bless you in so many ways. And I don't think that anything, our gifts, our talents, none of that is for us. It's always for someone else. And so the fact that you were able to come to that, and your father instilled that in you, that's really good. That's good.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I know you spoke a brief moment ago about going into business with your mom. So I know that's amazing. And you guys design jewelry. So it's Jolease, no, what is it?
Gem Jolease.
Jim Jolease. I love
Yes.
that. And so how is that working with your mother? And is that something you guys have always wanted to do? Or did you have a flair for design when you were younger? How did that come about?
My flair for design strictly came from her. My mother has always been someone who has done just miraculous things with her hands, whether it's cooking or making jewelry or quilting or designing. She has always had a gift. Her hands are gifted. And so she has always made jewelry for as long as I could remember, but she kind of got away from it for a bit. And then I became interested in it. And I started researching, precious stones. And because all of our jewelry is made with precious stones, and we make sure to use things that will not turn. So we use hematites, and we use stainless steel and some sterling silver. So we want to make things, that are going to last. They're going to be beautiful and they're going to last. So when I started doing jewelry, then she re-engaged, and then we started making gifts, and one thing led to another. And after my father passed, I said, well, Mom, this is a wonderful opportunity to keep you engaged, to keep you busy. Why don't you go ahead and let's get you a business and you start making jewelry. And she said, well, I'll do it only if you join me. Thus, Gem Jolease was born.
But how beautiful. That is so nice to be able to, do business and you guys can just leave a legacy. I think a lot of times, like you say, just in researching opportunities like that, and the fact that, you've made it a point to get things that will last a lifetime.
Yes.
So, this is building memories that will last a lifetime as well.
Yeah.
So I'm loving, and that's one of the things when we talked to begin with, that really impressed me about you is that just, how you look at doing things that are lasting beyond today, and taking it and building the memories. And I thought that was just so beautiful. And at a time like this, when we're dealing with a pandemic and, people are really beginning to realize that we moved so much. It was so much hustle, so much bustle, so much running and doing things that we forgot to take the time to really embrace family and embrace, creating memories and having genuine conversations. And so now sometimes I think that God looks down and says, enough is enough, and we've been able to kind of be still and get quiet and really just understand what's truly important, in the midst of people passing away because of COVID, in the midst of racial injustice, in the midst of all of those things, it's heavy. It's really heavy. But at the same time, you've got to be able to embrace what's really important in life, and that is your family, that are the connections that you're making.
Exactly. Absolutely. Those that are, closest to you. It gives you just the way things are now, it really gives you an appreciation for what you have. Makes you
Yes.
stop and think, you
Yes,
know.
it does. Yes, it does. And I know that, just in, like I said, in looking at some of the things that you talk about, gratitude is huge for you.
Hmm.
You made a comment. I think you even did a little a few day challenge or something, with regards
Yes.
to gratitude, right? So
Yes.
share with us why you feel like gratitude. I mean, I know it is, but
Right.
why, I want to hone in on that because this is more than any other time. I think we really need to make sure that we express and acknowledge gratitude.
Absolutely. Well, with me, I'm a Christian, and gratefulness is just inbred, you know,
Hmm.
in me. But even that is definitely the foundation. But being grateful goes so far, so much further than many people probably give it credit for. Gratefulness can really, heal a broken heart. It can turn your health around. There's so many things that gratefulness can do, because when you're grateful, you really are changing your chemistry. You're changing how you think, you're changing how your heart feels. And so for that reason, gratefulness is so important, I think. I did a 5-day challenge where I challenged my followers to, tell us something that they're grateful for. We talked about, I gave them a prompt. I'm grateful for my friends because I'm grateful, for my family because I'm grateful for the things that I experienced because. And the really major impact that gratefulness makes is it can just totally turn around how you feel and how you look at life. You may think that things are just so bad, but if you stop to think about all of the things that are going right in life for you, it will totally negate and totally cover all of the negativity. And really, after a while, after you stop and think and start naming some of the things that you're grateful for,
Hmm.
you can feel the change in your attitude. You can feel the change in your heart. It just changes you, and it changes you for good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
And when we talk about, and yes, Ms. Pat said we must maintain an attitude of gratitude. Absolutely.
absolutely.
And I think that's one thing that people can take away in terms of being an empowered woman.
Mhm.
An empowered woman recognizes the things to be grateful for.
Right.
And like you say, it's a mindset. You have to have a mindset of being grateful for every part of your life because everything has come together to make you who you are. So whether it was bad, whether it was negative, whatever it was, it created you and it designed you and it molded you, it pruned you, it did all those things to make you who you are right now.
Yeah.
So you cannot not be grateful for it because that would be saying that you're unappreciative of your life at this particular point. So I really think that when you're empowered, that has to be a key component of your attitude, is
Hmm.
knowing that being grateful for everything, big or small, is
That's right.
essential in life.
Exactly. Exactly. You can go a lot further focusing on what you have instead of what you've lost.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And what do you think? I mean, because when I think about it, there's so many people, and you really have to start learning how to kind of, I guess, separate yourself from people who are negative, that negative energy, who focus on what's going wrong, who
Mm.
focus on what they don't have, because it's draining,
It is.
And I've had to really kind of, look at my circle and look at, people that I come in contact with, and I realize that if you're not of a grateful spirit, it can be extremely draining on people.
It can be. And it pulls you in the wrong direction. You're
Hmm.
trying to go forward, and you can't go forward when you have the weight of negativity pulling you down at every corner. In order to go forward, you have to release that weight so that you can get a little more agile and you can move further and faster. So you do. You have to let those things, those people, go, and just focus, on where it is that you need to head and the things that you have that are working for your good.
Yes, and in looking at some of the things that you've talked about, you've talked about how branding, especially branding yourself, you are the one that makes an impression, and you determine the impression that you make on people.
Yeah.
So the piece of being positive, the piece of seeing things, in a better light, those things show up. Because a person, when you initially meet a person, they automatically are going to feel that energy, and so, what kind of tips can you give us for like branding yourself, in any arena? Because I know in HR, when you're interviewing and talking to people, they have to have a certain thing that's going to make you want to, get to know a little bit more about them in order to decide to give them a job or not. So I know that branding yourself and marketing yourself is huge. So what kind of tips can you share with people about, putting their best foot forward?
Sure, sure. And you're right. In the HR arena, in the career arena, career search arena, branding is important. It's incredibly important. And there are a few things that people really need to focus on. One, like you just said, your first impression is lasting. So you really have to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward when you're making that first impression. Dress appropriately for where it is that you need to go. Make sure that you make eye contact. These are things that I always tell my clients who are looking to move into a new arena. And that goes for anyone who's meeting someone for the first time. If you're in, business for yourself and you're going out and you're meeting a new client, all of those principles still apply. Make sure that you have on the right clothing. Make sure that you have a promotional piece, that you have your one-liner, your elevator pitch, where you can tell why it is someone needs to do business with you, why it is someone needs to hire you. And the reason that you're going to give is because you can bring something, you can do something that they can't find in anyone else. So whatever it is that you're pitching, you have to make sure to get that across. If you get nothing else across, they have to know that when they get you, they have gotten the best thing out there. The best thing.
I like that.
So,
it's not going to get any better, so you might as well stop your search right now. It's
that's
all
right.
The buck stops here. That's right. And believe it. Have the confidence to really understand and know your self-worth. Miss Pat and I talked one time about something, and she was like, know your worth and then add tax. So definitely that needs to come across. Absolutely.
That's it. That I love that. That's good.
I'm gonna I am it. That's right. I am it. Look no further, baby.
You are it. And you've got to go in with that confidence. You've got to know it. But then another part of branding yourself is you have got to be able to show that you can do it. So you've got to be able to walk the walk, talk the talk, and do the do. Yes. You've got to be able to, you've got to be that full package. So in order to do that, to brand yourself to be the best is to make sure that you have equipped yourself appropriately. So you need to get out and get all the information that you can possibly get that pertains to that client, or that pertains to the person that you're getting ready to interview with. Go out and make sure that you find out about the company, you find out about the person, you find out about the buttons that make them tick, and make sure that you address them. Some other things you want to be really careful about is it is so easy for people to judge you based on what they see or what they hear versus how you really are. So for that reason, I always tell my clients, you have got to be so careful with what you do on the internet and what you put on social media.
Wow.
Human resources people are looking at those things when they go to hire you. They check your social media accounts to see what you're really like when you're not in front of the camera, so to speak. Right. So be careful not to put the wrong things out there on the internet. By the same token, when you're working in business, always make sure that your interactions and your relations with your clients are relationships of integrity. You want to be able to say that my clients know me, they've worked with me, they understand how I work, they know I'm a team player, and they know that whatever I bring them, I'm honest in what I do. So those are some of the things that you want to do to brand yourself, and to make sure that you stand out above everyone else.
That's good. And you know what? I like it because in the midst of that, and we're talking about business, but even with relationships, the same thing applies. You still need to do your due diligence. You still need to research beyond just who you're dating. Once you really develop an interest, then you need to figure out, okay, so I'm interested, but let me just look a step further before we go all the way in, because if you got some crazy folks behind in your family tree, maybe we need to think about it before we, get a little further into this thing.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. You got to research the brand.
Research, baby, because listen, everybody, like you say, you got to not just talk the talk,
That's
walk
right.
the walk and do the do. So you got to make sure, because the very first impression, everybody got their best foot forward. Everybody's looking good, but you need to know that when everything is said and done, and you kind of drop that what they call your representative. When you drop the representative and the real you shows up, that's who we need to know about.
That's right. We with the real you, step forward.
Please do. Yes, please.
Yes.
So that's some good information. And I know that for so many people, the pandemic has, really wreaked a lot of havoc when it comes to job security. I think people have just really thought that I'm going to be at this job, I'm going to retire, and that's all it is. And they're not thinking about anything different. But, COVID-19 really kind of made a big change for a lot of people. We saw more furloughs. We saw, people's income change because there's no overtime available, or, positions were cut out, or, there was restructuring and things done. So it really speaks to, we get a lot of time, especially if you're working from home.
Yes.
And so with the time that we have, how can people get a leg up and maybe, do some personal development so that they can be prepared, whether it is to return to their same position, or maybe even start looking at something that can even be better in the same company or even a different company? What can we do to personally develop ourselves?
Sure. The first thing I say is to go out and take a look at some of the websites that are offering support during this time. There's so many companies, from academia to, businesses who are supplying people with food who may need food. There are so many opportunities out there right now to go and do something that involves self-development, that involves volunteering. I mean, it is difficult because of COVID and because of the health precautions that you need to take. But definitely, I would recommend looking into taking a class, looking into getting that certification that you've been meaning to get for quite some time. I know that finances may be a little tricky right now because there are people, like you said, who have gone through layoffs, people who are, because of COVID, there are companies that had to, let people go. Who would think, for example, that movie theaters, are facing huge financial trouble of all places? Who would think that you would see that with a movie theater, or just so many businesses out there that we've just kind of taken for granted, and they're starting to let people go and to lay people off so that they can survive. Right. So go out and find out what it is. This may be the time to find out exactly what it is that you can do, whether it's from home or in a building. What service is it that you can offer that kind of transcends some of the stuff that COVID has put us under? There are opportunities out there for you to, pursue that side job that you've always wanted. You
Mhm.
know, you may be working your full-time 9 to 5, but go ahead. You get off earlier now. Go ahead and pursue, doing that side job that you've wanted to do. You may not have another opportunity to go out and to do something like that. You know that when you get back, or right now, you may have to look for a new job. Work on that resume. Seek out people who can help you in doing that. There are resources out there right now who are offering it support for free.
Yeah.
Work on that resume. Get on the job boards. Connect. You can network with groups on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a prime place. That is the business social media. And they
Mhm.
have groups that relate to just about every industry out there, just about every field. Go in and get on LinkedIn and start trying to make connections there. It's an opportunity to market yourself. It's an opportunity for growth. And it's an opportunity to perhaps pursue some of the things that you've always wanted to pursue and just really didn't have an opportunity.
Mm. Amazing, 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 because everything that looks bad is not actually bad. And
That's
so,
right.
in some cases, and especially now, for some people, COVID can be an opportunity for you to transition, to pivot into
Yeah,
something that is going to be infinitely better than what you left. So,
right.
I think that, we were talking about networking in another group, and they were saying that people are so used to, going to networking events and things like this, but this is a prime opportunity for you to be able to find groups, find associations,
Mhm.
find things that you can connect to so that it can increase, your value, increase, what you need to be able to take your business or your skill set or whatever it is to that next level. So I think
Absolutely.
it's a rare opportunity. Sometimes we don't have as much time. Like you say, we're not commuting. If you're working from home, you're saving time on the commute. You're saving time, with having to get up, because you can get up a little earlier now. Get up the same
Mhm.
time you used to, but use that to research. Use that to, like you say, go online and get a certification or something. But there's so much opportunity for those who are willing to pursue it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's out there. You just have to make the effort to go and do it. And it's helpful too, particularly if you're working from home right now. Most of us are spending time 24/7 in the house. I don't know what your restrictions are like there, but I know here in Maryland for a long time, we were working in the house. So, we got up, we went to work, we got off work, and we went downstairs. You were just in the
There was
house.
a change of scenery, like, oh, we got to get out this little room here. And instead of eating all day, let's
Yeah.
make it being productive. Absolutely. Let's
Yes,
be
I have
productive.
seen more people walking probably in the last 3 or 4 months than ever, because it's an opportunity to get out of the house. But doing some of these things also helps with your mental state.
Mm,
Um, you're constantly hearing bad news. Um, we're facing, like you said, between COVID and the racial injustice and just so much other stuff that's going on, that news can really start to pull you under. So you have to be conscious of, one, what it is you're letting seep through your ear gates. You don't need to
yes.
hear it all day long. And also, you have to find those things to do that are going to elevate you, and going to, give you something to look forward to and give you something to hope for. And so,
Mm,
definitely during this time, working on self-development is a piece of that.
that's good. And speaking of that in specific, Miss Patsy, that's so very true. Let's
Yeah.
talk about, since we're talking about leveling up, let's level up the podcast. Let's talk about that podcast you're doing, lady.
Yes, yes.
I'm like, yes, leveling up in all areas. I mean, when you talk about being empowered, that is one of the things that empowerment can help you do, is to level up.
Yeah.
in whatever area of your life you need it in. So how did you come about that podcast, and tell us all about it?
Well, leveling up, I started it because I'm working on new curriculum right now that I'm trying to put online and have some online courses in my coaching side. And I kept saying in all the things that I was writing and pulling together, I said, I really feel like this is going to be called leveling up. And then I started talking to people, and then I said, it may be a good idea to reach more people via a podcast, and the podcast would be called Leveling Up. And it, again, all about empowering, all about equipping, women to, and men too. Men have been listening to the podcast, but equipping us to do whatever it is that we desire to do, to, survive and to, pull forward or push forward in things. So we talk about networking in your business. Coming up next month, we're going to talk about, people who have a 9 to 5 and also, do their side hustle and love it and have no intention of leaving one for the other. We have a set mind, some of us. We're tunnel vision on what it is that we can do. And we know that multiple streams of income is so important. And it's been around, for forever. Our grandparents did it. They had multiple streams of income, They went from one place to the other and worked in this house and worked in, gardening in the fields here. And they did so many different things. They were the inventors of multiple streams of income.
Right.
And we know that it's important. However, we don't always see that there are different ways that we can get at it. We think that, that single stream and multiple is important. So we talk about that. We talk in the months coming, we're going to have, people on who have persevered, a lot like what we're talking about in our conference. Some of what we're talking about, people who have really been through adverse situations and have used it really just as a step to take them up to the next level. So we'll talk about that too. So leveling up is dealing with any tool, any attitude, any business, anything at all that you need to move to the next level. So that's what we talk about on the podcast. And I enjoy it. It gives me, like I'm talking with you now, gives me the opportunity to meet so many people and to see so many perspectives and get so many ideas about, how we can move forward. I'm enjoying it.
Now, how long have you been doing it?
It's been about 2 months. It's new.
Oh, look, you got brand new, baby. Yay!
Yes,
That's
it's been
great.
about 2 months. Yeah.
But you're right. I love it. On my podcast, just meeting the people, having the opportunity to hear different perspectives. And some things are really not, Miss Pat said, congratulations, girl.
Like, thank you.
But, just really having an opportunity to connect with people from different areas of life and kind of see how they think, where their mindset is. And it's really refreshing, and sometimes it's not even things that you don't know, but it's just great to have that reinforcement of, yes, I'm on the same pathway. We're doing the same thing, or like minds, stick together. So I'm just seeing that, being able to have this downtime has really given us opportunities to tap into more podcasts, more Zoom interviews and things, more YouTubes, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of just get more content and more awareness about other things in life, that maybe you just haven't had a chance to really kind of tap into and listen to, but it gives you just something more. And the podcast arena, that platform is huge. A lot of people are really getting tuned in to listening, especially when they were, when we were going to work, just traveling, pop
Yeah.
in a podcast. But now when you're at home, while you're cooking dinner, while you're, doing other things, I've really kind of got into this part where you talked about listening to the news and it being very negative, to where I don't really listen to TV a lot like I used to before.
Right.
Before it was kind of like a relaxation or wind down type of thing. Maybe not necessarily watching it, but just having the TV on. Now I'm channeling myself into other avenues. And so podcasts are one of those things, or, audio books, or, reading a little bit more. I download a lot of things to Kindle, and read. So it's just been a great opportunity to, kind of expand my exposure in those areas.
Absolutely.
But yes, to level up. I love that. But let me say this now, even though we talk about leveling up, for a lot of people, the one thing that really keeps them from leveling up is self-discipline. People struggle with that a lot. And I know you've mentioned that in some of your conversation. What would you say? What would you say to people when it comes to self-discipline?
So, oh my goodness, that definitely is the hardest thing for me, and the first thing I think about is my whole health, and battling the bulge. I have been on every diet there probably is in the world. I can probably tell you about it, tell you how long it lasts, tell you the number of pounds that you will probably lose, and tell you when you'll put them back on.
Because when they come back, girl, you be so excited to lose them pounds. You be like, yes. And then you drink something or eat something.
And
you're like,
they come back. Right?
All of y'all come back at the same time. Oh, y'all wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me forever to lose this little weight, and then you want to come back all at
the same time and more, and bring friends with you, right?
Yes.
But I think of that, and recently, well, I would say probably in the last 3 years or so. And Nike has a saying, and it sounds so cliche-ish, but it is something that really just establishing that mentality really does help you. And Nike says to just do it.
Just do it.
I developed an exercise routine, for example, but I am only successful in exercising when I get up and do it first thing in the morning, because I don't think about it. It's before I'm cohesive enough to understand that I'm getting up at dark 30 to go to the gym when it was open. And so the whole focus again was I got up and I just did it. And sometimes that's what you have to do to be disciplined. And once you get up and just start doing it, that discipline starts to come into play. Then it gets to the point where if you don't get up and just go do it, you feel like something's wrong. You feel like something's missing. Discipline really is something that has to be built up like a muscle, is the way I see it. Because, just because, like we said, I'm using diet as an example, just because we lost weight today and we got it off doesn't mean that we're going to be able to keep it off, or doesn't mean that we're going to have that same mentality all the time.
Right.
So it is a constant battle to be disciplined, but in addition to just doing it, you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. You have to say, I am making it a mission. I am committing. It is my intention, and I am going to do this, this, and this. And it works. I won't say it works all the time, but at least you're moving in the right, direction. You are getting at least the mindset straight to be disciplined. And then, like I said, it's like a muscle. Do it little by little, and it gets better and better, and you get stronger and stronger in it. I haven't mastered it, that's for sure. I kind of know how you should, but I have not mastered it.
I laugh. I listened to a video from Eric Thomas, E.T. Okay, so he was talking about the discipline of, getting up, he said that when he started doing it, after he started doing it for a while, sometimes you'll be like, I don't want to get up. Your body is just like, but this is what we do. We get up.
That's
So it's
right.
kind of like your body has a mind of its own. He was just
That's
like, so,
right.
okay, I'm not going to run today. He said it was just like the inner dialogue was like, okay, well, let's just walk a little bit. And,
Right.
we'll deal with that when it comes time that you normally would run. We'll deal with that then. He said, so
Right.
he was just like, okay, well, I've walked. He was like, well, what do you mean you're done? No, because this is the time that we run. So
Right.
let's run. He said, so you've got to get your body acclimated to doing those things so that eventually it will be like clockwork. And like you
Yeah.
said, when you start waking up without an alarm clock, my husband for years used to work third shift. So I used to wonder, like, how can you just get up with no alarm or anything? Like me, I'm just like hitting snooze and I'm like, oh.
Right.
Hit snooze again, girl. Then I said, I'm so crazy. I said mine's 15 minutes apart and still hit snooze in between time just to make sure. And he was just like, oh, that's so ridiculous, girl. But he can get up with nothing. He doesn't have to have an alarm clock. If he knows like such whatever time, he can get
Right.
up. And so
Yeah.
it's because he was so conditioned to
Yeah.
doing so that he just automatically, he said that when I laughed, so when ET said it, he was like, I'm used to being up at this time. So if I lie here, it's by choice. It's not
Right.
because my body's ready. So the opposite of laying here is to get up and do what I need to do. And so I get up and do
Get
it.
up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, look at Miss Pat. She up at 4:30 every
4:30
morning.
every morning. Wow. Yeah.
That's why
I
you're
think
my role. That's why you're my inspiration, Miss Pat. That's why you are my inspiration. Look, one day I'm getting there. And not to say I'm not gonna roll back over and go back to sleep, but one
Right.
day
Hit
I'm
that
gonna get there
snooze.
4:30. Well, now that my husband gets up, he's on first shift, so he does get up about. I have to get him up about 4:30 ish. So really, it would be now that I'm getting him up to get on up and say, okay, hey, I get you up and make sure you're up and get on up and do my thing too. So that is one of my goals in the near future to, at least rise by 5 and make sure that I get that extra time in to invest in doing some other things. So
Absolutely.
yes. But what
Absolutely.
would you suggest now that people are, we have a new normal? So what advice would you give to somebody to adjust to that? Because I don't think it's ever going to go back to where it used to be.
I don't think it will either. And it's hard accepting that. Like I said, this is unlike anything we've ever known, anything we could have even anything that we could have even predicted. I think the important part is being able to accept it. I think that is the very first step. I think there are a lot of people out there who are not accepting it. Thus we have people who don't wear the mask or aren't taking the precautions. There's some other reasons they're not doing it, but
Right.
so, some reasons do lie in not accepting it. So the first thing I would say is we have got to accept it, and we have got to gird ourselves up and do what it is that we need to do to keep ourselves healthy, to keep our families healthy, and to go on and still find joy in life. Life is still good. It's a tumultuous time. We're losing lots of people. There's so many people who are succumbing to this illness. However, while I have this saying that says, while I'm here living, I'm going to live. So we need to be able to do what it is that we need to do to have vitality in our lives, to be able to help other people, to be able to progress, to be able to, find joy in the things that we experience and in the things that, we do from day in and day out. So make sure that we accept the fact that this is here for a little while, maybe for a long while, and then do what we need to do to keep ourselves safe and to make it through this period of time.
That's good. I think that again, like you say, you have to accept it. You have to just really
Yeah.
embrace the fact. And when you talk to anybody about anything, acceptance is the first thing. And so
Yeah.
once you realize that, it's going to require maybe leaving out the house with a mask. It's going to require,
Mhm.
social distancing for quite a while. It's going to require that, maybe your social level, for people who are very active, who used to go out and do a lot of things, you're going to have to be more precautious. All those things you have to take into consideration because, just as we went back before, now, they're seeing spikes in cases. And so, we just had a holiday. So who knows what's going to happen after that. So,
No.
as much as I know people want to get out,
Mhm.
it has to be some restraints. It has to be, just a change. And it doesn't mean that it has to be worse. It can
No.
actually be better. But
Yeah.
it's how you perceive it. It's what your mindset allows you to, really tap into. What can I do to make this great for me and my
Exactly.
family? What can I
Exactly.
do to, pivot to something better, so that now I have things to look forward to, not things to dread, but to look forward to. And I
Ex-
think it's possible. I mean, and the new normal can be way better than what, the previous life that we had was. But
Yeah.
you got to make it. It's all according to what you make it. And so you
Exactly.
have to make a decision and a choice.
Mhm.
Now, I know that we are winding up on the hour, but before we leave, I wanted you to kind of, what do you want to leave the audience with when we're talking about the journey and equipping them and empowering them and, encouraging them to experience it along the way? What do you want to leave with the audience?
Sure. Your what you have in life is what has been slotted for you. Your journey has been orchestrated with things that have bumps in them. There are hills, there are valleys, there are mountains, there are roads that are bumpy, there are dirt roads, and there are paved roads. And each and every one of those paths have been designed specifically for you, not to cause you harm or to cause you to be lesser in life, but it is to make you into the person that God desires you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that He desires you to be is unlike any other person out there. Your mold is made specifically for you. So all of the things that you go through are the things that help to get you developed in that mold. And when you come forth, your journey is one that will not only benefit you, but your journey can serve as an example to someone else who may not have come through like you did.
Mm-hmm.
You are there to show them that it's possible. You are there to encourage them. You are there to share with them the gift that you've been given and to help someone else along the way. So I say that whenever I talk to people about their journey, remember that you never know what your journey can do for someone else. And it is your
Mm,
obligation to share it.
that's good. That is so good. Miss Pat says her daily verse, why should a living man complain? Lamentations 3,
That's a good
39a.
one.
Yes, beautiful. Like you said, your journey can help so many people. And I
Yes.
think for a long time, people were ashamed,
Mm-hmm.
and they muted their voices and
Yeah.
they didn't allow themselves to, speak because they were embarrassed at what people would think. But
Mm-hmm.
when people started realizing that your voice needs to be heard, your
Yeah.
story needs to be told, there's somebody out there that can benefit from it. And once you gather the courage to do that, it allows so many things to come to the surface that
Yeah.
heals you and helps somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree wholeheartedly.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So if you don't mind, if you would share with everybody how they can get in contact with you
Sure.
on your social media platforms and all of that. And that way, we can get some people hopefully to sign up for the My Share virtual experience August the 1st, and then just follow you with all the other things that you're doing.
Absolutely. So social media is, well, I have my personal page, Alethia Tucker on Facebook, and also Jolease Enterprises. That's Jolease Enterprises. The same over on Facebook is at Jolease Enterprises, and I am Alethia Tucker. For the Journey Share, we have tickets on Eventbrite, and I've put the link in here. But what you're going to look for is, and I just drew a blank on that. Hold on one second. It's Journey Share, the virtual experience. That's what you're going to look for.
Great, great, great. Well, listen, thank you, Alethia, so much for being here. I love just your presence. It's just so smooth and calming, so I love that about it. And I know that this journey share is going to be magnificent. I think that, so many people are going to be blessed. Miss Pat said, thank you. This was great. So, Miss Pat, thank you for being here. We definitely appreciate it. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. And I just wish you all the success.
Thank you.
I hope everything goes well, which I know that it will, and that this is the first of many more journey shares to happen virtually and in person, because I know that once all of this clears up, we're going to want to do a journey share in person so that we can take the high touch to actual touch.
Absolutely.
So we get real hugs and not just virtual hugs. So yes.
Virtual one. That's right. We want a real one.
We want a real one. Yes, absolutely. Well, again, to the audience, thank you all for tuning in. This is another episode of Woman Empowered with Alethia Tucker. So make sure you tune in, because Woman Empowered is bringing phenomenal women who are out here making a difference, making an impact, influencing people to just be the best version of themselves. And so today has been exceptional. Make sure you like it, share it, and follow us, because we are going to be bringing more amazing people your way. So again, thank you so much. You guys take care and be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.